Welcome back to Titan Table Talk. Joining me now is head track coach, Coach Shumacher. And Coach Shu, thanks for taking some time with us.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about our program.
Well, you had the Titans First Chance meet just this past Saturday. Had 4 victories, 3 on the women's side. So let's start on the women's side. First of all, as a whole, the women won the meet. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, good. It's always nice to have a W at home, but this point of the season, we're really looking at training. It's a different part of the season. Cross country just ended. We didn't have a lot of distance runners running. Same thing with some of the other teams. But this meet really gives our people that that were training in the fall, the opportunity to get their feet wet before going into the holidays. But it was a really strong start.
Well, let's start with the freshmen. The freshman women stepped up pretty big. Adriana Crabtree won her first mile in college ever running and came out with that. And then you had a 4x4 relay team that had a couple of freshmen on it also in Bella Gonzalez and Jordan Griffin, along with junior Jules Grunlow and Davion Lemon, the sophomore, winning those events. So pretty excited for the freshmen.
Yeah, we kind of knew coming into this year we had a really young team coming back, but we had some talented newcomers coming in, and Adriana getting that win was really nice because it was actually her first track race ever as well. She was a soccer player in high school, and then she came here. She ran some cross country, but that was her first ever track and field race, so that was good to see. And then have our 2 freshmen on that 4x4 was fun, and they're like I said, they're a very young team and a great way to get the season started.
Well, and of those 5 that we named, 3 of them from right here in the area, U-High for Crabtree, Normal Community for Griffin, and Grunlow from Lexington. So pretty close on that. And then let's not forget to mention the other winner, Lauren Wong, in the triple jump. She's out of Morton up in the Chicagoland area, but 11.2 meters for the triple jump there.
Yeah, I'm really excited about Lauren. She's had a great off season. I anticipate she's got a great opportunity to be a national qualifier this year. This is the best jump she's ever had to start a season, and she's been looking really good in practice. And I know she wanted to jump a little bit further. She wanted to jump what she ended the outdoor season at last year, but it doesn't work that way. You have to come in and continue to work, and we did what's called a shorter approach, so she wasn't quite at full speed either. So really nice start for Lauren.
And then jumping over to the men's side, freshman there, Evan Lauder, also local from Normal Community, winning in the 300-meter race.
That was he looked like a veteran, and that is Coach Todd Lauder's son. So for him to be in his second full year as the men's coach and have his son here as a freshman to step in and win his first college race. And not only did he win, he won handily, and it was a number 2 time in school history. So really, really setting a nice tone for Evan.
Well, you mentioned Coach's child, and we got a few names that people might recognize. We mentioned Crabtree earlier, Brian Crabtree's daughter, and actually her mom also played basketball here at Illinois Wesleyan back in the day. And then your son, he took second place in the 200-meter sprint. That's Keandre, a pretty good time there, too, with 22.93.
It was about a tenth faster, and when you think of a tenth of a second, it might not seem like a lot, but in track it was. So it was a good way to start, and he was having some flu-like symptoms too. So it was a really good run for him. And the 60 final, he was 6th, but that was the fastest final we've had since 2005 when we've hosted nationals here. So it was a really hot heat in the men's 60, probably the class of the field in that event over the weekend.
Well, as I look at the track and field, the schedule, unfortunately you have break coming up. The term is ending. They're on finals this week, so nothing coming up until January as far as that goes. But what did you learn from this event, from your team, as you start to look forward to January?
Yeah, I love you bring up that question because, number one, we really have been talking about what they're going to need to do over the next few weeks because they've worked really hard this fall, and that's what we've learned. We came out and we started off strong. It showed they put in the work, and as I said earlier, it gave them a great opportunity to have a meet and kind of see where they were coming out of high school or where they were last year. And I think that's going to keep them extra motivated because, you get away from your team, you get away from your coaches, you got to be training on your own for, a good 3 weeks. It's not like any other sport. You can't take a 3-week hiatus in the middle of the basketball season and then come back hitting the ground running, and that's what we expect our athletes to do.
I don't think you had the pun intended there, hit the ground running, but I did catch it if you meant it. So the outdoor or the distance runners, they're going to have to run outdoors most likely as far as staying in shape and working in that in the cold, but they're used to that. What do the sprinters work on? Where do they go to work, or do they have to go fight the elements also?
Yeah, it's a combination of both. We've put in place a plan for everybody who has a gym to nothing, and we can design workouts where they're running a time versus a distance. And so if they're trying to do, 3 times 200 or whatever, we might say, hey, you're going to go 3 times 27 seconds as hard as you can. You might be outside in the snow. You gotta figure out a way to get it done. And because they've worked so hard, they can't afford to be lazy over the break.
So now, okay, so that's for the runners. What do the jumpers and the throwers work on during this time? If they live out in the country, they live on a farm. What types of things? What are some of the types of programs you work out with them?
We tell them to be creative. If they don't have a weight room to get to, they can come up with some things. And I always joke around and say, watch the Rocky movie where he goes over and he's training in the snow and just finding a way to get it done. You can't sit there on the couch and say, well, I can't do anything. You can do something, get out there and do lunges in the snow or whatever you need to do to get done. But for the most part, everyone's able to get to a gym, get in the weight room, even if they're just in a small gym, to warm up. But they should be able to get the work done.
So throwing a few hay bales, getting some logs up on the shoulders, things along those lines.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
What we used to do when we were young, the only way that we could lift weights was,
right.
Do those types of things. Actually, you're a little younger than I am, I think. So maybe more back in my age when they had to do those types of things. So as you look forward to the spring and that, obviously some great things happened this past weekend that you'll be looking at. Crabtree and the 100 or the mile. That just amazes me. Her very first track meet ever, and she wins the event. That's got to be a real confidence booster. But even some of the others as they're coming in, give them that taste, give them that thing going forward. Hopefully that works for them. But what are some of the things you're going to be looking forward to as you hit January, as the team grows, as the team advances? And obviously the goal is to make nationals and go forward in there. What areas are you looking at that are going to be keys for the Titans?
Yeah, we're looking for our newcomers now that they've got their feet wet a little bit to come back with a little more confidence. Really to add to the depth of our program. We host the CCIW Championships indoor here in the end of February, and we talk about the energy of what that meet is going to look like when you've got 9 CCIW schools on top of each other. It's a lot of emotion, a lot of energy, a lot of noise, being able to block out that noise, and really because we host so many meets at the Shirk Center, it's almost a dress rehearsal every week for the conference championships, and we're not necessarily trying to win every meet. What we're trying to do is train each week to put ourselves in the best position so that we can be at our best when we get to the end of February.
Well, and as I look at your schedule in January, you have one where you go to Dubuque, Iowa, and everything else is here. What kind of advantage is that to have a facility like the Shirk Center? Yeah,
so this is the 26th year for me at Illinois Wesleyan, and I always say there's no place like Shirk. It's just a beautiful place to train, to come back to, and it's an advantage for the student athletes to wake up in their own bed and just walk over to the Shirk Center and have their own locker room and not have to share all that space in the gym with everybody else. And so it's a really strong advantage to have the Shirk Center.
And for practices too.
Absolutely, yes.
So then the ultimate goal then is to make it to Birmingham, Alabama in March. And what excitement is there I know you've been to nationals before at that. What is that like to be able to take a team to nationals?
It is. It's the culmination of a great year. And anytime you can take an individual or a relay or a group of people to nationals, it's a lot of fun for the coaches, the athletes, the parents, and Birmingham, it's different because it's a banked track. We don't usually compete on banked tracks, but I think as the season goes on, we'll have some people that'll be able to step up and work their way down to Alabama.
Well, hopefully before you go to Alabama, we'll be able to get back up here because I'm really interested in that bank track and how that affects compared to people who don't run that. But we'll save that for when you go to Birmingham. Coach Shu, we appreciate you stopping up here and talking with us here on Titan Table Talk. And have a Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you again in the spring.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
That is Coach Shumacher of Titan Track. You're watching and listening to Titan Table Talk.